Magic of the Moonlight is the latest feature film by Woody Allen. It is a romantic comedy set in the 1920s south of France. The film stars Colin Firth as Stanley, a magician who tries to demask a spiritual psychic played by Emma Stone. Here is the trailer for the film.
Stanley, you are still the best in the world. I need your help.
The plot thickens.
The Catledge family are socialized in the south of France. There's a woman who has them believing she's a spirit medium. You are the greatest debunker of fake spiritualists.
She won't fool me.
Sophie looked into my eyes and told me things about me she could never have known.
I'm told she's very pleasant to look at.
She's a visionary and a vision.
I'm getting a mental impression. Are you from the Orient? Far East?
Considering you are Wailing Sue, that's pretty damn impressive.
You're a very clever little humbug.
I think you'll trick me into showing you how I deceive people.
Stanley doesn't believe in spiritualists. He thinks you're all scoundrels. She's quite likable, even if she is a fraud.
My mental impressions are cloudy.
Are they cumulus clouds or cirrus?
You're making fun of me.
Mr. Tavenger is rather obnoxious.
But it's not entirely unappealing.
I understand you're holding a seance tonight.
The planets are in alignment.
Now, I will summon the unseen world.
Give us a sign.
The more I watch her, the more I'm stunned. Could she be real? I'm beginning to question my own common sense.
You've always been so certain about the world, and I've always tried to teach you that we don't know.
Tell me something about my Aunt Vanessa's colourful past.
I see a member of Parliament.
Go on.
A love affair.
You cannot possibly know this. I'm overwhelmed, Sophie. I never dreamed you could look this beautiful. I believe that the dull reality of life is all there is, but you are proof that there's more. More mystery, more magic.
You're gonna die! Run!
My aunt used to bring me here as a boy. The roof opens up. You can see the universe. It's menacing.
You find that menacing? I'd say it was pretty romantic.
Joining now the film's two star actors, Colin Firth and Emma Stone. I'm pleased to have them at this table. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Let me just start where I am compelled to start because of the conversation we had before. What is it about Woody Allen and a Woody Allen film that you're drawn to and that you have some trepidation about?
It's a bit of a high wire act in a way because he shoots. There's this very substantial material. You know, it's text-based, it's dialogue-based. You're going to be up against very, very good people, and he knows how to make performances flourish out of relationships. So that's the bait. You know, you've got all that to play for, and then this body of work where, you know, years and years and years. You can pick a decade, and it's one of your favorite movies.
And he can do many things. I mean, he can write, he can play music, he can direct.
So the challenge is massive, and you don't want to be the first bad performance ever in a Woody Allen movie.
You also said he doesn't rehearse much, no?
At all.
No,
at all.
Not at all.
So
not
you have all these soliloquies in this film.
Well, yes,
and
the rehearsal.
There's no rehearsal of these films.
None.
In other words, the first shoot is a rehearsal.
That's right. I mean, we were given the script. You were given it a month in advance or something as well?
A month, yeah.
Yeah. So and hearing all sorts of things about his approach to work, some of which turned out to be true, others which were absolutely not. One was that he doesn't direct either. Mm-hmm. He certainly does.
Mm-hmm. But I think you came and said he had notes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's directing, isn't it?
I find him to be a very involved director. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will tell you that he kind of sits on the sidelines and doesn't say much, and they feel like they don't know if they're doing it right or not, and I didn't have that experience at all.
The opposite was true.
Yeah.
But he has fun on the set, or not?
I think.
He's funny on the set?
If he's having a lot of fun, he hides it well a lot of the time. I'm sure he's having fun on the inside. You know, we had fun on the outside.
But so he's focused.
Yeah.
Focused.
Yeah. No, you don't get a lot of chit-chat in between. Yeah, really. And, you know, the trouble is that if you get a reclusive New York intellectual and a very repressed Englishman, that doesn't make a party, really, when you put them together.
You'd be the repressed Englishman.
But if you throw in a Southwestern girl...
Yeah, she livens things up.
And so...
I loved it.
Yeah. But this was a dream for you.
This is, an absolute dream, yeah. Well, as I think it is for most people, or for many, many actors. I think many actors,
How did it come about?
For me, I got a phone call in April of last year, and they said that he would like to meet me, and I went to his office, and I had one of those, 3.5-minute meetings that you've probably heard about, where I walked in and I was standing for about a minute of it, and then we sat down on a couch, and he said, "Okay, thank you," and I left, and it was 3.5 minutes.
That was it?
Yeah.
It was like a question?
It was like, "Where do you live?"
Oh, just that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What's that coat? Is it hot? Take it off.
Have you been to
can
New York
go.
before?
I didn't even get where you lived. I mean, I didn't
he
get.
already probably was sold on you early on.
Yeah, I didn't get the meeting.
So. Yeah.
So was it, I mean, he already knew about you too. I mean, if that meeting simply was to sort of say, "We're going to do this, thank you very much."
Well, he is a pretty wonderful casting director. And I don't think that, I mean, to this day, he's told me that he saw, 30 minutes of one of the movies I was in on the treadmill once, when he was walking on the treadmill, as he does every morning.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's really seen me in
any
anything.
other films?
I mean, possibly. But
I'll bet you they put something together. I mean,
I don't know.
See, I've got to believe that because of his interest is so Catholic, that he knows about all the movies that are made. He knows about everything that's happening in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He knows everything that's happening in New York. He knows everything that's happening in the world of music and restaurants. He's a frequenter of all the best restaurants in New York. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he seems to me to be a person that's really plugged into the world. Rather than...
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah. Okay, so the movie. You're a guy, you are a person who, as a sideline, sort of debunks people who are out there. And she's one that you think is doing that. And so tell me about the relationship and what you discover in the character she plays that makes it an interesting relationship.
There are parallels to Pygmalion here. I think that, as in the words of Oscar Wilde, the great artist steals. He's basically, in some ways, I think this has a correspond.
What's the beginning of that quote? I mean, the last part.
Bad artist plagiarizes.
That's right, and the good artist.
Yeah, that's right. But he's not doing that. He's clearly, I would say, influenced by the structure of that, but the bare bones of it. And it's fleshed out with something which is entirely his own, to the point where I don't think you'd even spot the equivalent. But what you have is a supercilious, self-assured man who is...
Supercilious and self-assured. You call him supercilious, judgmental, cynical, and arrogant. And has a very high opinion of his superior intellect.
There you go. Which comes into question, whether that intellect is superior, courtesy of the girl, of a young girl.
And his first impression of her is that she's...
adjectives, I don't know, gutter snipe, uneducated, I can't remember them now, but none of them were edifying. And to the extent when I first saw it, I thought, are we sure we really, really need to hear any more of this unsympathetic, diminishing of this person? But actually, it's all to set him up for a fall. And
we create this sense of...
Yeah, because I think that one of the themes about it is calling certainty into question. I think that you are setting yourself up as foolhardy.
And so how does this character see him, this young Sophie?
Well, that's complicated, I think.
Try.
Well, Sophie there's more to the story than what we see of her in the first, I would say, half or 3/4 of the movie. And so I think what you see of Sophie is a real draw to this kind of lifestyle and this kind of sophistication and mind that she has not had the privilege of being exposed to before. She grew up on the street and had this gift, and her mother was a very hard-driving woman who decided to make money off of her daughter, and so she's spent the majority of her life trying to make enough money to survive. And so obviously a man like Stanley is not someone that she comes along very often and takes an interest in her.
Yeah, and she's determined to try to make him believe that she's not like everybody else.
Very determined.
Yeah. And does a pretty good job at it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that it's dealing with the whole business of having faith in things that can't be verified. Whether that's for theatrical purposes on stage.
This is not math.
No, exactly. And Stanley provides himself. I mean, he's a paradox in a way, because he doesn't mind fooling people as stagecraft. You know, he makes an art form of suspending disbelief in an audience, but then he's prepared to come clean and say it's a trick. He just doesn't like it getting appropriated as a sort of some sort of spiritually authentic thing. But there are other unseen factors that come into play. It's not just about whether there's a God or an afterlife or whether magic is real. It actually, feelings for other people, which don't fit into logic, come in as well, which is, I think, the twist that we start to see in the third act. So that it's not just about whether she's a fake or whether she's real. It's this other thing that he can't make sense of. That there are feelings kicking in. Well, it's love, really, if you want to call it that. But this encounter with a humbling experience, I think. You go out to school, somebody's a fake, and you fall in love with her. Yeah, and there are other factors here, because it's to do with his friendship with his best friend, and you know. Yeah. So you're getting things coming at you, which weren't to plan, and.
Take a look at this. This is a clip in which Stanley is mocking Sophie.
Good evening. I understand you're holding a séance tonight.
She's been waiting for the right moment, and now she says the planets are in alignment.
And what do they have to be in alignment with? Your vertebrae?
Can you do the séance if someone in the room is a non-believer?
And when you contact the spirits, will we be able to see the souls? And how are they different from ghosts? Or are they ghosts?
I should think souls are quite different.
Have you ever heard of ectoplasm?
Ectoplasm. Now, isn't that a milky substance rather like yogurt?
Oh, you are a joker, aren't you?
So you're saying it might look like yogurt, but it will be Mrs. Catledge's former husband.
You're very big, and this is not about method acting, but you're very big on the idea that if you're going to make a movie, you really do inhabit the character and his time. You live inside the character and his time.
I think I just do it for fun. I mean, I research a lot, but I don't know if anything I've ever done as research has helped what I've done on screen. I think it's I didn't go to university, and I spend my life doing this instead. I just enjoy it. It diverts me into some area of life or history or something that.
And you?
Did I go to school?
No, no. You left school when you after doing a PowerPoint presentation to your parents as to why you should go to L.A.
You really know what you're talking about, don't you?
I don't know about this.
We don't need to talk about it now. I'll tell you later.
She's a mere 14.
Exactly. I'm stuck.
And convinces her parents, by the way, that she should get on the next bus and go to L.A.
Can we pursue this?
Yeah, no, I know.
Not a bus.
I just thought I'd
It was a car. We drove ourselves.
At 14?
At 15, yeah.
At 15. You made
I was 14 when I made the presentation. You're right. Wow.
Do you still have?
You got it down to the day.
All right, here's another clip. This is you leading a seance. Here it is.
Give us a sign.
Harry. Is that you, Harry?
Spirit, signal us once for yes, twice for no.
Harry, are you okay? Are you happy?
Spirit, if you can hear me, give me a sign.
It's amazing. We were just talking about the technique of looking at things, and you never know what scene's going to be cut out and all of that kind of thing. But he works fast. Got this movie in 9 days.
Well, yeah. I mean, this movie that he's doing now, I believe, unless my math is off, is his 50th, the movie that we're shooting right now.
Right.
And
the one you're shooting with Joaquin.
The one, yes.
Right.
And I mean, his process is so, I think, he's really, it's ritualistic. It's very, he's quick.
It's probably a pattern there now.
Maybe a little bit.
And also post-production. I mean, he
70-something.
astounded me. He's never dubbed a line of any of his films. I mean, it's standard procedure that you do
Everybody
ADR.
dubs.
You have to do something. For sound reasons, for whatever, you're always going to do a little bit of voice work afterwards. He said he'd never done it in any movie.
And he wasn't even familiar with it.
He said he hoped never to have to do it. I mean, I presume he's not familiar with it. I mean, if he walked in after 40, 50 films, never having done it, no, it'd be like he wouldn't even know the technology.
I bet you if you had dinner with him, he's one of the funniest people you could possibly have dinner with, and the most interesting.
I haven't had the pleasure.
Had lunch with him.
And he was. A snack.
He was. We had a snack. Yeah.
He was funny, though. I mean, even when he was directing, I mean, it was often at my expense. You know, he's the only director ever to refer to my performance as somnambulistic.
They put you to sleep?
Yeah. Well, sleepwalking. So I'm sure people have felt that way about my performances, but the actual word was
a common note.
So little used that I hoped for a moment it was a compliment.
Maybe he meant ease of performance. He didn't at all, did he?
That's a common note. He wants to make sure the audience isn't asleep.
If he meant that, he would have said that, wouldn't he? He has enough command of language to say what he means.
No, usually if he was happy with the scene, you knew because you could hear the crew packing up to go shoot something else. You know, that was...
These movies don't cost a lot to make, do they?
I have no idea what the budget is, but no.
Neither.
We certainly didn't.
It certainly doesn't end up in our pockets. No, I mean there are a lot of very compelling reasons to do a Woody Allen film.
Yeah, actually, there was a thing in which you made Rome and Paris, and I think somehow these cities were making possible the production of the film in part because that's one of the reasons he moved to Europe and started making films in Europe. Hence this film. I don't know when he's going to make another. Is a new film in
Rhode Island?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. So we're stateside. We're stateside, yeah.
But did you make a multi-thing deal when you went in for that 3 minutes?
Oh my God! I honestly showed up certain of my being fired. I showed up and I said, I'm going to get fired off this movie. It's going to be. I didn't even think I was making it to the next week. Yeah, but then as time went on,
when you showed up, you thought
when I showed up in
before
France,
you had said a word.
Before I had said a word,
then in a scene,
I was absolutely, and I mean this, convinced I was going to be fired. Convinced. I've never been so convinced. And then
after you did it, the first scene, did you feel more comfortable?
No, not after our first scene. No, we had a scene.
The first scene
that we reshot and
did not do anything to reassure us at all. No, day one was hard.
Day one was incredibly.
So what was
scary.
wrong with this scene?
We just, I think we couldn't get the tone exactly right without the rehearsal and without a table read. So, you kind of are finding your sea legs and he's finding his, and so we're all sort of, and he often reshoots his first day.
Because it's a rehearsal.
Yeah. He did in our case too, and the scenes haven't made it to the final cut.
Yeah.
So the first day scenes that you reshot didn't make it to the final cut?
No.
Are you, when you see a film, often disappointed because what you thought was maybe your best moments didn't make it to the final cut? Or do you care?
If I've ever had a good moment, they need whatever they can get. No, I
do buy this kind of sort of...
No, this is not some sort of shtick. I promise you.
Sort of
English false modesty thing.
If I have a good moment, I'm hoping.
No, it's like you're going fishing when you're... I told you I had a bad feeling about this. This makes my case.
Does the word Academy Award Oscar mean anything to you?
They don't know what they're talking about. Listen, they don't. They get it wrong a lot.
They made a mistake.
They might have.
I mean, you just got lucky because Harvey promoted the hell out of that. Otherwise,
That's right.
You'd be just
I've done underappreciated fine work elsewhere. I'll take it and loathe that.
You were the king of underappreciated
That's
fine
right,
work.
yeah.
They're lauding the wrong thing.
The two things we know: expect the worst and underappreciated.
Oh yes, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, no, appreciated for other things.
Okay.
It's non-meretriciously appreciated.
Meretricious?
Is that a word?
I don't know, but if it is, I am so impressed with you using it.
This is why I had a bad feeling.
I should have put that in my PowerPoint.
Take right angles all the way through this conversation.
Yes, indeed. So what did you learn from Woody Allen?
Honestly, and this is, the way I approach life, literally nothing. I think the way I have tended to approach life and work, maybe to my detriment at times, is to not take things too seriously. And I don't think that he is taking his... I think he takes his work very seriously, and he cares very much. But I think he... has a bit of perspective on life, and maybe it's because we're all careening into a hole of nothingness.
Yes.
but I found him to be...
you bought that theory, have you?
Lighthearted.
We're careening into a hole of nothingness.
We're careening into...
Well, you two should have really gotten along.
We did.
You wouldn't think it from this. But...
I'm 2 seconds away from flinging spitballs at you.
So let's just talk about this. How did you prepare for this? I mean, how did you get up for this character of Sophie?
I honestly...
So you take that seriously?
Well, I take that slightly seriously.
Yeah.
I read a little bit about Houdini, who was actually calling out many of these mystics in the 20s because there was a psychic that had falsely spoken for his mother, and he was incredibly angry. It was his mother. Am I correct?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
You don't prepare.
You don't prepare. But I read a little bit about that, and then I just watched a lot of Clara Bow. And her physicality and all her stuff. Because I figured that Sophie probably would have seen Clara Bow, and Sophie's an actress, and you know, she's a very vaudevillian mystic. And I had this whole idea that it would be underplayed, but Woody wanted the hands in the air and, you know, fingers to the temples and this kind of...
It's like overplaying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, those were what they were like, these psychics. They were, you know...
Oh, yes.
Seeing the future.
Because they were on stage and you know... The theatrics added to the disbelief or the belief.
Exactly. So it was just a little bit of Clara Bow. I don't think I did her justice, and she's probably mad at me, you know, somewhere in the nothingness.
Clara Bow, wherever she is.
Wherever she is in the void.
Not twice on the table.
This is a great table for a seance.
Yes.
This is a great room. Let's just see if we can conjure anything up. A little Clara Bow. Did they dim the lights, or am I just... Is there something among us?
So are you a mystic at all? Is anything mystical about you?
Oh my God, I'm entirely mystic. Colin, am I not a mystic?
I don't buy it.
I love all of it. I love all of it so much. I wouldn't say I am a mystic, but I'm very...
No.
I'm very interested in it. Yeah. Very interested.
Really? What do you mean? Like you read books or what?
I read books. I've seen
psychics.
I've seen tarot
Other than
card
preparation
readers.
For this role, have you ever been to a seance?
Absolutely. You have to know that when I met Woody, it was a dream come true. And then when he offered me the role and I went to read the part and it was to play a psychic, I cried because I was so overjoyed to play a psychic because I've loved it my whole life.
But do you believe in spiritualism and all that stuff?
Yes. 100%. What are you, crazy? What do you think, we're going into a void?
No, she doesn't.
No, I don't either. Do you? No, of course not. No, it's just...
You're right. It's all meaningless.
But you like this acting thing, don't you?
I do.
You should.
I do. Well, depending on the day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a good day. Okay, the movie's Magic in the Moonlight. It's out in select theaters. They have to go over to see Mr. Letterman, so I'm going to let them go. Select theaters on July 25th. What can you say? Two remarkable and fantastic people who are just fun to be around. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.